ANC spokesperson Pule Mabe joins me now live. A very good evening to you. Good to have you with us. What is your response to those accusations that the ANC is not doing enough, that this is an internal matter and it needs to be tackled?
Evening and evening to your viewers. The African National Congress has been doing everything in its power to quell the situation in KwaZulu-Natal. We have issued a statement yesterday expressing our concern and the role being played by ANC structures on the ground to make sure that they deal exactly with that. We've also called on law enforcement agencies to be able to be more responsive, to attend to the situation, and make sure that we return the situation to normality. We must assure the people of KwaZulu-Natal that, like all other provinces where the African National Congress leads and where this government, justly constructed by the people, has a responsibility, will make sure that there are no loss of lives unnecessarily, and that there is stability, and that where there are protests, those protests are quelled in a manner that does not lead to social insecurities.
Okay, but so what about the ANC structures on the ground? I mean, are they getting out there, getting on the ground, talking to the ANC members who are behind this looting and destruction? You say that you don't want loss of life unnecessarily. I mean, somebody was shot dead this evening for looting one of the shops. You say that the security forces need to go out there and stop them, but many people tell us that you just don't see them.
Well, of course, I must correct something that you just said when we started, that these are not the ANC members. You know, we must be careful. We must not make the ANC to be part of something that the organization did not sanction. These are communities and all of that. I mean, when you loot a shop, that's a criminal activity. It has got nothing to do with the ANC. Crime is a crime and must be persecuted in the same way that all other crimes that have got to do with theft have been persecuted.
Okay, but they're doing this under the banner of Free Jacob Zuma. And I'm just wondering what you make of what the president said, that this is ethnic mobilization, ethnic criminality. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, of course, I mean, we have also reflected on this as the African National Congress around what we would call ethnonationalism. And we have said we don't stand for this. We stand for one South Africa. In this country, whether you are Zulu, Tsonga, Pedi, Ndebele, Tswana, you know, whatever language you speak, you must be able to still live and thrive in any other province. The ANC will never allow an instance where ethno-nationalism rises its head. What we have said is that let us engage. And we must commend the work being done by Comrade Sikhe Zigala, the chairperson of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, who is also the premier of that province, and Comrade Ndumisenindu, who is the secretary there, and the entire collective. The work they've been doing to make sure that we can unite our people to understand that they must use legitimate platforms to raise their concerns, taking to the streets, away from those legitimate platforms, doesn't help anyone, whether ANC, IFP, or any other party. We must know that in a democratic country where the dispensation allows for engagement, if we do not exhaust those, we are not going to be able to find solutions that befit our concerns.
Do you think this is something that could have been prevented? I mean, we knew something was going to happen when Jacob Zuma was to be arrested. It shouldn't have come as any surprise. I'm just wondering where the intelligence was here. And we're not only seeing it in KZN, but it's come through to Gauteng. I mean, this is the economic powerhouse of the country.
Well, I wouldn't want to link this to former President Jacob Zuma. He has cooperated with law enforcement agencies himself. So there are those who might want to use the situation for opportunistic reasons to do what they're doing. And this must not be allowed. Law enforcement agencies must be able to act and respond to the situation as it presents itself. And all of this situation must not be made to look like an ANC situation. When somebody loots from a shop, takes a mini meal to their home, how does that link up to the incarceration of our President Jacob Zuma?
Yeah, I mean, but sadly that is the case. Excuse me, jumping in here. I mean, people are linking everything that is happening to the ANC. We've had Jacob Zuma's kids coming out in support of this, and I should imagine from, at this time when the ANC has taken such a thumping because of corruption and the economy, this is the last thing that the party needs.
Well, of course, you are right. I mean, we have called for calm, something that we represent. We are a movement that believes that the best way to resolve conflict is through non-violence. We don't believe in violence. We stood for peace, even as we championed national liberation. Our end in sight was about the peace of our people, their own tranquility. The ANC will never champion anything that seeks to suggest that violence is the only means to an end. We don't support that. So those that are involved in violent activities must never do so in the name of the ANC. We understand that the situation as it obtains, the arrest of the former president, is not an easy thing, even for the ANC. We have said that this is a man who has led the African National Congress in exile, came back to be part of the democratization of the Republic of South Africa. There's no way that any peace-loving cadre of the ANC will be happy with the arrest of President Jacob Zuma.
Okay, no so let me just jump in here. Sorry,
can I just conclude? But where the law has taken its course, and because we said we don't want to interfere, we must be given that space to engage well within the organization to pronounce ourselves. For instance, this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, but how concerned are you about the damage that this is going to do to the party? I mean, this really is the last thing that the party needs as we sort of look towards elections. What is the ANC going to do to change its image now? I mean, it's constantly battered and tainted.
Well, we do understand that this has got a negative impact on our own image as a party. We are sitting in our own meeting of the National Executive Committee. A point I wanted to make before you stop me. So I would appeal to your viewers, all peace-loving South Africans who could be watching this show, that allow us to speak at the conclusion of our NEC. I must assure the people of South Africa that we are on their side. We stand with them. Everything else we do has got to do with the stability of the Republic. There will never be a decision that we take as the NEC of the ANC which undermines the peace of our people.
Okay, well, I think the South African public wants this to be dealt with pretty quickly. Let me just quickly get a last question in here. I mean, we've got Zuma's rescission application happening tomorrow. Are you expecting troubles? What's the conversation going to be ahead of that? Because we have heard that the protests, if anything, are going to expand.
We have said that we will never interfere with processes that are before the court. The same applies here. We can't do that. Can't enter a matter that is before the court. Once we do that, we'll be accused of political interference. All we want is the stability of our people so that they could have peace, they could have a sense of tranquility, and all of that. That is what we stand for as the African National Congress.
All right, Pule Mabe, let's leave it there. ANC spokesperson, thank you very much for your time.